So we're going to be building a beer caddy out of reclaimed materials. This is a piece of an old cabinet, a glass front cabinet. It's oak, three quarters of an inch. A piece to an old dresser drawer. This is 1/4 inch, maybe poplar, and some 1/4 inch threaded rod, all-purpose rod. You can buy these in 12-inch sections, or what I did was I got a 10-foot piece, which is only like $4, and just cut it with an angle grinder. Some conduit and nuts and washers to connect everything together, and we sell these on our Etsy site, so I have the old template that I used to make these, which will show me where to mark all the holes, and I'll draw up the dimensions for this and put it on our blog. So first things first, because this used to be a cabinet, it's got this beautifully ugly finish on it that I want to take off. And to do that, I'm going to use this Strip X stripper, which you can get at Walmart in bulk. Probably won't take off all the finish, but it will save a lot of sanding time. You do not want to get this stuff on your hands, so you can wear gloves, or you can just not get it on your fingers. Now I'm super impatient, so this could probably stay on there a little bit longer, but I started spot testing it up in the corner here, and it seems to be mostly coming off with my scraper, and I don't mind if there's a little bit of stain left over. That actually usually looks kind of nice. So I'm just going to go down and take all this off. After I get all the stripper off, I go back with my orbital sander and sand it down to the bare wood with 80 grit sandpaper and finish it up with 120 grit sandpaper. There's a rabbet from the original cabinet on the piece, so I ripped that off with my table saw and then ripped the whole piece to my final width. With the miter saw, I cut 2 pieces to length, which will be my sides. We're going to put a printout of this template on our blog with the dimensions that you can trace onto the 2 sides. And then I cut my pattern out on the bandsaw, but you can use a jigsaw to cut it out as well. Then, using my template as my guide, I used a straight edge to mark all the holes for my 1/4 inch threaded rod, as well as the hole for my 1/2 inch conduit. And then I used the punch to mark all those holes for drilling on the drill press. For the dividers inside the beer caddy, I used an old piece of 1/4 inch drawer, and I cut the old dovetails off, ripped it to width, and then cut it to length on my table saw. Then I'm going to take the 2 partitions I just cut, sandwich them between my ends. Make sure everything's square. And I'm going to use this camo duct tape to tape everything together. Making sure not to cover my holes. Then with my drill press, I used a 1/4 inch drill bit and drilled out all the holes in my piece straight through all 4 pieces that will hold all the threaded rod. I used a 3/4 inch spade bit to drill out the holes that will hold the conduit for the handle. Then on either side of the 2 sides I used a 1/2 inch countersinking bit and test fitted the nuts I'm going to use to attach the threaded rod so that the nuts sit recessed on both sides of the piece. To assemble these, you put a nut on the end of your threaded rod and then slide it through your partitions. And put a washer on each end. And put the nut on just so it can sit recessed in there. So once these are all flush, sink them in there. And then come around and tighten. You might have to use a hammer at some point to force one of the threaded rods into the holes. Just make sure you use some sort of rubber mallet to not ruin the threads on the threaded rod. For the handle, I'm taking a piece of 1/2 inch conduit, putting it through my 3/4 inch hole. You could use anything for this. You could use dowels, rope, and then I'm taking a fastener and marking where to drill my holes. So then I'm using a 5/32 little bolt and a 5/32 drill bit to drill these holes. So then I screw that bolt through one side, slide it through, and then attach this side. The finish for this is going to be really easy. I'm just going to put some oil on it. But before I do that, I'm going to go through with a crescent wrench and tighten all of these inner nuts. Now if you want, after that, you can put, if you're nervous about this coming loose, you could put epoxy in all of these. But I always like the option to be able to take something apart, so I think tightening these is more than enough. Next I'm going to finish this with some oil. I have some teak oil laying around. Admittedly, this is easier to do apart, but order of operations got the best of me this time around. To finish this off, I just got one of these bottle openers off of Amazon. They're pretty easy to find on there. I think that and eBay are the two cheapest places to get them. And you can buy them in bulk if you want to make multiples of these. It's obviously cheaper to buy them in bulk, but you could also buy them singularly. So I just lined it up, you know, in line with my screws here and the top. And I'm going to mark my 2 holes. And then pre-drill those holes. And I have these black panhead screws from an exterior project I did where I used different screws. So I'm just going to use those to attach this.